Hello there and welcome. I'm Kate Kunkel. I'm an Amen Clinic licensed brain health trainer and creator of Brain Health Matters, which is a series of educational events, programs, and courses. And we're all about helping you create a healthier body to make a happier brain. I'm also an author of Don't Let the Memories Fade. And as a writer, I'm delighted beyond belief to have our special guest here today. Linda Rendelman is the visionary of the Women Like Us Foundation, the author of the Women Like Us book series, and creator of What's Next for Women Like Us. I can't wait to hear more about this. She coaches women 50 plus to gain clarity and healing, find fulfillment, and create their most confident next life chapter through writing. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you so much, Kate. Let's just have a really dynamic conversation here and talk about writing and how it helps your brain, right?
Oh, yes, yes. So first, I want to hear a little bit about the Women Like Us, your whole movement. Tell me a little bit about that.
The Women Like Us Foundation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are a charity. Actually, it started, I'll take this really quickly. I'm a cancer survivor, and I had a business for women that was supporting and mentoring and empowering women literally 20 years ago. And then when I got cancer, I had also started a nonprofit because I knew I wanted that along with my for-profit. We did lots of workshops and motivating women, et cetera. And so anyway, when I got cancer and it was like, wait, I want to write a book. Wait, I want, there's all these things that's not new to anyone that's been through this. And so I did come back, and then I wrote the book called Women Like Us, the first one. And through that, we also started the Women Like Us Foundation. It just seemed like the perfect thing to do for us. When we wanted to do it earlier, it didn't happen. So what we did was we changed the name to the Women Like Us Foundation. Fast forward, I think we're 16 or 17 years old now. And through it's always been about championing women, always. We've gone from working with fighting sex trafficking, women's homelessness issues, and certainly always along the way, education. Wow. So during that time, I've written 3 books that are all titled Women Like Us with a different subtitle. And I'm going to be doing my 4th one sometime in the next year. Anyway, if I get the energy. So
yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I know writing. Mine finished last year, and I know it's a big drain, and you just have to really spend the time, devote. But exactly. The writing, so your writing is all about basically empowering women, yeah?
Empowering women, and in each of my books, there's women's stories, and that's always been my focus, always. And so when I decided, well, first of all, the key point of the Women Like Us Foundation, I absolutely do not want to leave out, is 4 years ago, we kind of stepped back from the United States, although we do projects every so often that are supported by the Women Like Us Foundation. But what our big flagship problems that we're solving right now is the Women Like Us Center that we started in Africa, in Nakuru, Kenya. And we are at the edge of the Nakuru slums in Kenya. We have impacted over 500 women and their families. And what we do at the center is, one of our directors is a psychologist. So she works with them. Almost all of these women are victims of domestic violence, poverty for sure, rape they talk about openly. So we have a psychologist that works with them in those regards, getting their esteem up. But in reality, our main through all of this, our main goal is to help them become economically stable. And we do that through sewing classes. We do it through computers. We've taught them how to become, have their own enterprise through micro enterprise programs. We bought land, and they're able to actually not only farm and raise vegetables, they can sell them at the market, and at the same time take them home to their families, so they're getting better nutrition.
Oh, awesome.
And it's just, did I say computer lab? Did I say that?
Yes, you did. And you know what's really interesting? All of this started from your vision, like your book. from you writing something from your heart.
From writing. Yes. Yes. That's
Isn't that amazing? So,
right.
of course, we're here talking about how writing can help your brain. Well, right there, you're helping people with their brain just by getting, by inspiring them with your writing and taking action from your writing. How can
And
our people?
providing the right resources so that they can learn those skills. If they can't learn,
Right.
pardon me. In fact, our motto for the center is, if she can learn, she can earn.
There you go. That's it. It's so true. So true. I just would like to see that here. I would really like to see that here. Maybe I can partner with you and we'll do something here, because it seems to be very common in developing countries that women sort of get, they have a little rougher time getting out of poverty and taking
Oh,
control of
sure.
their own lives.
Absolutely. That's another whole conversation. I could go down that road, but we won't.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we want to do is empower women's brains, well, everybody's brains, because we all need to be more empowered by being healthier in our thoughts and our minds and our brains. So how can writing help us with that?
It's amazing how much writing is good for your brain. It really is. Because what can happen is, if you hold things in and you're all what I call stoved up inside, because you have maybe past history that you never really was able to reframe and get to resolve, or maybe it's a story or two that you would really like to get that off of your brain. And all of these things that are rolling around in our minds can actually be handled. And also, if they're not handled, it's very unhealthy for us. It's very unhealthy. One of the kinds of writing that we talk about is really the confession, which means also like secrets that we hold inside. And I work with women that are 50 plus, and so we've had a lot of time to store up these things that we're like, really, why did I do that? Or I hate myself for this, or why did that person do anything to me? And I don't know, just all kinds of different stories that we have. And so one of the things that we do is that we actually talk about secrets that we might have, and how to just start giving that on a piece of paper. And by the way, I might add, everybody writes on computer right now, but I am a firm, and that's fine with people that want to do it that way. But for me, I really do feel, and I've read a lot about this that supports my feelings, that a blank piece of paper and a pen in your hand is such a connection to your brain. I mean, it
Oh,
really
yes.
is. It is. And that's why a lot of times people talk about journaling. They talk about, having a diary, because well, I guess you can still journal, certainly. I'm sure there's a zillion apps out there for everybody. But I'm sure there's journaling apps. I've never even tried to find them. But yeah, so it's definitely health related, for sure, that our brain then gets that information out, gets it down on paper. And it's just quite amazing how you can just start writing, and before you know it, you're solving, you're reframing. Maybe that was me then, but it's not me now. And I need to accept that and get rid of those feelings. Does that make
So,
sense?
oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a firm believer in journaling, and a lot of
Mhm.
people will say, I don't know how to get started.
Mhm.
And I have a good friend, Jayanthi Sridhar. We did a retreat together, and she starts with little prompts of gratitude. So how would you say to someone to get these things out? Would there be a prompt you would invite someone to use to get started with their story?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, here's the process that I go through, and it does
Perfect.
include prompts. But one thing that is critical is finding the location where you're going to write. It's really saying to yourself, well, do I have a space in my house where I could just be all alone, where I can have quiet? I have to have that when I write. I know that.
Me too.
And finding a space that just feels good to you. It might be in your garden, if it's not raining. It might be on your back if you have a sunroom, or it might be just in your room. For me, in our home, I have one room that is just mine. And I literally sometimes my husband has to knock on the door before he can come in. But that's where I do my writing, and I do it in my mother, who bless her soul, who died of Alzheimer's and dementia. And I sit in my mother's rocking chair. And that just makes me feel so safe and so loved, because I sat in that chair many, many times when she was alive, and we had great conversations. And then even adding a candle, because many times the smell really triggers our brain to know what we're here for
Oh,
as you
yeah.
do that over time. So that's a really, really important piece. Absolutely. And when you're journaling, you're right. A lot. I even do that. I think, well, what do I want to write about? You know, I think that's tough. And I think that's a very valid question, quite honestly. But when I work with my clients, I give them a list of prompts. And it helps them, so they can go, I think I really want to talk about when I was 7. I want to write about, rather, when I was 7 years old. I remember what school I went to. I remember what it was like. It doesn't have to be a problem at all when you're
Right.
journaling, but it's about the writing process, as you know very well.
Because
Yeah.
it gets you started. And once you get started, who knows where it will go, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As you were just talking now, I was thinking, there's something I need to write about. Just when you were saying about being 7, it's not being 7, but I need to write about a couple of things that I haven't dealt with over all these years. And I know sometimes when I get stuck mentally or emotionally, I go back to that place.
There you go. Yeah, I think, and I would suggest paper and pen.
Oh,
It's up to you.
yeah.
I don't want to enclose people too much to the way I do it, but that's my recommendation. There's something about the handwritten. It's just like letters. Getting letters anymore is such a treat.
Oh, I know. Isn't it such a greeting card, even with a little note in it, is so amazing now.
Exactly. It's crazy. I actually, just quickly, both my parents are gone, and I just discovered when I was in Indiana this box that I'd completely forgotten about. And there were it was just their files. And I looked in there, and they had saved the handwritten letters. And it was before emails and all of that. And
Yeah,
there were
of
all these
course.
beautiful, oh my God, it just brought me to tears. So that's so important. It's so, so
Yes.
important. It really, truly is.
So
But what I
now, for people who are worried, because going back to something that would trigger a need to write,
Mhm.
some people are afraid that what if somebody finds this, because for some that could be really not just embarrassing, but maybe dangerous.
Well, I can't really help them with that as far as where they're going to put it. The only thing that I can suggest in that time is to save it somewhere, and or they could, even if they've learned about it, they can just get rid of it.
I was just the reason that's why I kind of brought that up. I'm thinking it's not
Mhm.
something you have to read over and over again. If you need to burn it or tear it or whatever, then
Mhm.
that's okay because
Mhm.
you've got it
But
out.
yeah, exactly. And I do want to say that when I work with clients, I really do keep everything private, because writing is one thing. I can help facilitate that. I can help get them to the space where they're starting to kind of see the difference, the reframing that typically happens. But at the same time, then if they share with me, I can come in, but it's very, very confidential. And I can come in and work with them on, maybe facilitate, why don't you take this piece over here and write a little bit more about it, or throw in some questions that maybe they hadn't thought of, that then they can actually look at those and work a little through that.
A little
So yeah.
deeper on something. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, for everybody watching, I think the important thing to remember is that we are not stuck with these memories. We're not stuck with the brains we have. And we don't
Mhm.
have to stew like at night, where you wake up at 2 in the morning and you see those little memes about the brain asking stupid questions like, if the water boils an egg, if hot water makes an egg hard and something else soft, and those kinds of thoughts come up. But really important thoughts that have come up from your past can come up at 2 in the morning and destroy your sleep. And I know that I have to write things down. I do have a pad and paper by a pen by my bed. And if something comes up in the night, if I write it down, that gets rid of it. And at least I can, relax about it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And there's other ways too, Kate, and I'm so love the work that you're doing, by the way. I just think that's so critical. And especially when we get into our stages of life and even an understanding like my mother's dementia. But what other things you can do is like, for example, write about stress. So, and you can do this with anything, but you get out your paper and you put stress at the top. And then you start thinking about how does that make me feel? Because the feelings and the emotions are critical to get those out, because then you're healthier all over. I mean, we're talking blood pressure.
Yeah.
You can speak to all of that for sure. And then what you do is, let's just say you're stressed. So you think about stress and how it affects you. And then you just start writing words down. Maybe it's one word, maybe it's just a phrase like, I hate myself when I'm stressed, or when I get stressed, I get angry. And then I would say to myself, but why do I get angry when I have stress? So I'm going to write about that. And the brain's amazing. The brain can really come up with so many of its own answers.
Just get out of its way, huh?
Yeah, exactly. When I wrote my first book, honestly, it's Women Like Us, Real Stories and Strategies for Living Your Best Life. And this is crazy. I don't tell too many people this, but when I wrote my first book, I could not remember any of my childhood. I couldn't. We moved a bunch of times. I just was like, well, it just dawned on me one day that I don't really remember that much. So my book started, because there's pieces about my life and then other women's stories. So my book started, honestly, by writing about my childhood. If I could remember one thing, that led to another, that led to another. And then all these fabulous memories came back, not to mention it's there for my children,
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's great. Yeah. I honestly have to say, I don't remember much of my childhood either. I have snippets from my grandmother's house because those were really happy times, both of my grandmother's houses. But other than that, I don't have a lot of memories. So I think I'm going to definitely take your advice and start with something like that, because I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just don't.
So the work that we can do with our brains is not necessarily just solving problems, which is really, really good for health, but it's also good for health to write a memoir.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fabulous. That would make us happy, or I would think most people, me, definitely, and you.
Yeah, to write a memoir. Yeah, I've tossed around that idea a little bit, never really expounded on it, but I do know several people who have been talking about it. So I hope that they are watching this, because I would love them to connect with you, because I truly believe that we need to get things out, and we need to write about things for which we're grateful, for things which we want to learn. Anything that we write down, I think it's Dr. Amen that says, write it and make it happen, or what you write, you get, or something like that. I can't forget what the exact word is.
Where the energy goes, the body flows, or the mind flows.
Yeah, something like that. And I really believe that to be true. So folks, Linda has a wonderful gift for you. If you'd like to take advantage of her wisdom and guidance, please tell us about that, Linda.
Sure. Happy to just talk for free, because many times you need to learn a little bit more if this is the direction you want to go. I'm happy to speak to anyone that we can hang out for 30 minutes or even longer and have more of this kind of conversation, Kate. So yeah, absolutely. And see if it's something that you'd like my help to be able to get there.
So I will be putting a link in the show notes here. Linda, tell us the best website to go and learn more about you and what you do.
Right. Well, I'm doing the coaching, and I also have a podcast that you were on. And by the way, we're rerunning that. I forget the exact date, but I'll send it to you.
Oh,
you probably
cool.
know it. already, but yeah, so we're going to run yours again, which is so fun and important. And so, yeah, so just go to the contact, or it's even on the homepage, and the website is what's next for women like us.com.
What's next for womenlikeus.com. There's a lot of great information on there, and you have your 3 steps, and just I just think it's lots of great information. And to look after ourselves, look after our brains, what better thing than to come from inside? Yeah,
Completely. We've got so much in there, especially as we get a little more.
Thank you, Linda, so much for joining us. And thank you for having me on your podcast. It was just a wonderful conversation. And I will also link that so people can find your podcast, because you have so many awesome guests. And I would like more people that are in my world to meet these other women as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.